Hello, this is Francine Juline live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn with the Believe Retreat live stream, a weekly chance to kick back, relax, and talk about believing in yourself, believing in our community, and today, the power of community. Heidi, roll our video, please.
Hey, so good to see
Hello.
you, Francine.
I know. It is good to see you too. And I just can't wait for everyone to meet our guests. I'm so excited about today's topic of community.
Yes, me too, because I don't think for a really long time I realized that it had any power. I wasn't really connected in many communities. I really kind of just kind of felt like a loner. I kind of floated on my own. But once I plugged in to certain communities. I mean, actually plugged in, like showed up, built relationships, talked to people. That's when magic really started to happen. Opportunities started popping up faster and easier. And for us creatives, this I feel like is like jet fuel. When you get a bunch of us together in one room, collaborating on a project together, shared vision of the outcome. Yeah, it's magic.
It is. It is absolutely magic. I remember sitting here at my desk just saying, I want to write a book one day. And that's as far as it went. I want to write a book one day until I joined a community. And then I met another author, and I'm like, wow, if she could do it, maybe I can. And then I hired her as a coach to teach me how to do it. And we have an opportunity for you to learn from other people who have already done it if becoming an author is something you want to do. But now, let's get on to today's topic of creating this beautiful community.
Yes, we have an awesome story of a community called Red Lips for the Ladies. And I met one of the founders, Indy Bowman. Hey, Indy, how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing
And
great. Thank you for having me here today.
and today she brought along Joanna's sister, who's been helping her with this.
Hello.
Hey, Joanna.
Hello.
And this group has been making a lot of impact in Jacksonville, Florida. But before we get into talking about the group, let's learn more about our guests. So, Indy, please introduce yourselves to our audience.
Oh, okay. Well, again, Francine and Heidi, thank you so much for having Joanna and I. Listen, we love any chance we can get to talk about Red Lips for the Ladies because we're both passionate about our mission to help women move forward boldly, not just step forward, but boldly walk into the next chapter of life. So, I'll boil this down as best I can. I am born and bred Floridian, love it here, love to see the world, but I love coming home. And I've spent the vast majority of my life right here in the Jacksonville area. My background is in as a human resource and organizational development executive for many years. And I loved the work, but the pieces that I loved of it most were training and teaching people. That just really jazzed me up and brought me a lot of joy. Lost my job in August of 2023 and was heartbroken about that. But let me take a little side note here. People who know me, my family and close friends, of which Joanna is one, they knew that whenever I was sad or having a rough time or going through a breakup or whatever, I wore my reddest lipstick. It just was a way to empower me. So when I lost the job, I texted Joanna and said, JoJo, I've lost my job. I'm crying and boohooing and all that. And she, the next day or so, got back to me and said, well, I'm wearing my red lips for you today. And something about that just made me feel better that somebody was standing for me out there. Not that she was running a parade or doing anything for me. It was just the mere fact that she had my back in that way. It made it a little easier. And so I said, we're going to do something with this. And right after that, I formed Red Lips for the Ladies, asked her to help me do that. We got a couple of other ladies we could talk about later that are at the core of what we do. As for me personally, I decided to stick with what I loved. And that was to start a consulting and coaching business focused on helping people grow. And then, I'm hearing you talking about your next session about book writing. In the middle of all that craziness, decided to check off something else on my bucket list, which was either a really good or a really bad time. I'm not sure yet. I wrote a book, just finished it actually, and released it last week. So, yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. And I have to tell you, the power of community is real. And I know Joanna speaks very eloquently about this and how networking and having those people around you who are for you can help lift you and help you change the spirit in which you're approaching a challenge or a hard time. And it really does make a difference to have people you can turn to and that are for you. So that's where I'm at today. I'm writing, consulting, and helping to help women that are transitioning in their lives and their careers.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's
Thank
like
you.
such
It's a
a
lot of fun.
heartwarming story. I love it. So let's hear from Joanna now. Joanna, tell our audience a little bit more about yourself.
Sure. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting us again here. We're glad to be here. And as Indy said, we go back a long ways, have known each other quite a long time and worked together, literally run together. She got me running marathons a while back, and we've just stayed friends ever since. And when she went through her situation coming up on a couple of years ago, and we've always just stayed pretty close together. And I was just thinking about her, and I said, I need to let her know I'm there for her. And that was when I said, I'm wearing my red lips for you today. And but having said that, I'll backtrack a little bit. I've been in Florida for just about 40 years. I'm originally from Ohio, up in the Cleveland area, and I moved down here way back when. And Indy was the first person that I interviewed with, and thankfully, she hired me in the company that we worked for together for about 8.5 years. Mm-hmm. My whole background is in administrative area, working in the corporate world pretty much my whole career, working for the owners, the CEOs, the upper echelon of the companies, and learning to be their right hand and let them go out and be on the stage out there. And I kind of created my stage in the background and helping run the company and create that solid infrastructure for them. Really, really enjoy it, and have done many different things in that administrative area, from waste management companies to resort development to private equity to internet-based companies, but all the same administrative work. And you guys can probably attest, is that's a very needed skill set to have in a successful company, I will say. I've worked at maybe a couple of them that they weren't so successful in the way they thought about that. And so it just, creates a lot more challenge there. So that's kind of my background, all in all. And like I said, you know, when Indy went through her situation, and I myself went through something similar a long time ago. It wasn't, I didn't lose my job, but it was restructured drastically. But again, you're left with that feeling of being alone. What do I do next? Where do I go? Who can I talk to? You know, as Indy may mention also, we know, and there's research out there that shows and indicates that women attach themselves to their jobs much, much more deeply than men do. And we also don't like to talk about it. So we hold everything in, and which leaves sometimes those feelings of where am I? Where am I going to go next? How am I going to get my money? Where's that coming from? All those things, you know, and you're in that emotional state. And so when Indy and I said that simple phrase, I'm wearing my red lips for you today, and she's the one that has these great ideas. I'm your one that's going to help you implement those ideas. So I will be the first one to say, I am not your visionary. I'm not the one creating the great ideas, but I will certainly help you get there. If it's a good idea. And this one was. And I said, absolutely, there's something here. We need to do something with it. And the more we talked with other women who have come to some of our events and things, they all say, oh my gosh, I've been through that exact same thing. I know exactly how you're feeling. And so that's how our community's been building. And it's really been taking off much quicker and at such a rate that we didn't even dream of. You know, we can talk about our very first launch was last summer, and we both said, and our two other friends that joined us, Rose and Lauren, we said, if we get a few people to come to this thing, we're going to be ecstatic. Well, we had over 50 people, almost 60 show up, and it was a fantastic launch, and it's just been taken off ever since. So, so that's how we are starting to build our community. I'll hand it back over to you guys or Indy for the next questions.
Well, Indy, tell us a little bit more about the group. Like, what's involved with the group? How often you guys meet? What's about?
Okay. Yeah. So I definitely want to share all that. Thank you for asking, Heidi. The details of the events, Joanna, that's kind of what she handles. But let me talk about the structure a little bit and a little bit about why, you know, we pushed to form what we do. Joanna's absolutely right. When this all happened to me, I started talking to my network, and the fabulous men in my network, you know, I go to the council of many, right? I want to ask people that know me and who I trust, but the men were more like, oh, okay, well, what are you going to do next? And I love that attitude, but in that moment, I felt pretty beat up. You know, I was very sad about the loss of a job that I loved. And then when I would talk to the women in my network, every single woman, I mean, without fail, every woman I spoke to, and to this day, has a story that's similar in nature, whether they felt like they had to leave, or they were asked to leave, or there was some sort of restructuring or layoff. The loss of a job was just so impactful to them, and it was difficult. And I think, you know, as Joanna was saying, it's because we attach our sense of identity. And she's right, there's research that supports that. So I started looking, well, where are these women's groups that can help with this specific transition? And there weren't any. There wasn't a single one, not for this purpose. And so I thought, well, okay, so that's what we're going to focus on. And I think that a lot of times women, we don't want to speak about our professional challenges because we want to appear like we got it all together. Even though everybody knows they don't have it all together, I think a lot of people are still trying to pretend they are. I haven't figured that one out yet. Probably research on that one, Joanna, we need to do. I don't know. But there's a level of shame and humiliation to the loss of a job that is, you know, really, really tough on the inside. And then what happens is if that's in you and you're not able to process it, then it kind of sits in you and it becomes part of your spirit as you are looking, and it affects the energy that you have to look and to find somewhere new or to even learn something new. It's hard to take in new or better information if you're feeling really, really tough, because that's where your energy's going. It's not going to the new thing that might, as Joanna would say, it's looking for you too. So the group was formed with that in mind, specific to hey, we're going to help you move forward. We are not a formal 501c3 yet. We might go that direction, but right now it's all volunteer based. And it's just people helping other people out of the goodness of their heart with their expertise. And that's all it is. And so there's more to just saying that we're going to help. There are workshops, there are people who are coaches that will spend their time helping women. We have workshops on different skill sets. I'll let Joe go into that, but we just had one this past weekend on personal branding and networking, how to do it, why it's important, ways to go about it. We've had some on other areas that I'll let her share, as I mentioned, but we also have monthly coffee meetups called Lattes and Lipstick, and that has a little topic each month, but it's tons of fun, and it's become really popular. And so that's what we're doing. We're not only offering, someone to talk to, we're offering education to fill them up, and get that in their spirit, and then be able to go out and look for a new job, just, stepping fully into themselves and into their potential and what's possible for them. Because that's what a potential employer needs to see and to feel from you is what you can grow into and what you walk into with in that moment. So I
And I
think I
think
answered your
also,
question and a whole bunch of other ones. But anyway.
you did. And I think, you really spoke very clearly about, losing your identity when you lose that job and that pain that's there. But
Yeah.
also where I see this group being very supportive that you didn't speak to is when you're looking for a job,
Oh yeah.
the rejection is over and over and over and over
Yep.
and over again. And you need a counterbalance for all of that negativity, because especially if you haven't practiced getting that much rejection over and over again, it can really drain your spirit and your energy and all of that light that you were talking about that you want to show through when you do get that opportunity to be in front of people.
Well, it's a group of women who have been there and they understand. And simply walking into that makes a difference because we're pretty open about how we've struggled. We're pretty open about how it hurt. And the fear, a lot of fear around that. And fear can mess with your hope if you're not careful. So there's something powerful about having a group of women that you can lean on or even just be in the same room with who get it. And I think that's one of the biggest things we offer, but we do hold education and other opportunities like that to a high degree. And we give our best. I mean, they're very professionally done on purpose. With everything we do, we're trying to help these women take a step up and then beyond. And so if we can give something to them, it's going to be first class. It's not, we're really going to bring that in terms of the content, the quality of it, the presenters, even down to, the donuts. They're going to be great donuts, I promise you. And first of all, I'm a donut aficionado, so they're going to be good donuts. You know what I'm saying? So there you go.
I learned something new about you today, Indy. I love it. All right.
Yeah, and I would add in there, if I might, just with our other two ladies that we want to mention, Rose and Lauren. So they're the other part of the team with our kind of how we're set up as our structure is there are resources in our what we call our intake. So when we have ladies that come to us that are going through that career, tough career transition, or sometimes it might be they've decided, hey, I want to go write children's books and leave this other corporate world I've ever been, something totally different, but they just don't know how to do that, jump off that bridge, so to speak, with somebody, knowing that they're there to help them with the fall in there. So, but mostly it's if somebody's been through, a job loss or, restructuring or layoffs, we know that's very popular right now, or it has been. They just don't know where to go or what to say or how to move forward and what we say boldly, because it's easy to get stuck in that poor me. What happened to me? Why did they choose me? Or the very thing that got you in the door, and the skill sets are maybe sometimes the things that why they made that decision that either got rid of your job or, decided that they had to let you go. But in either case, we've got two great ladies that have human resource backgrounds. And so we put them in touch with Lauren first, and she kind of gets their story. Here's what's going on. What's their situation? And then she then will hand that person over to Rose, who is kind of our resource list master. And we have a whole list, growing list, still growing, of other people that have been through something similar or have the skill sets, either in resume writing, mock interviewing, how to take those rejections, what to do, those types of things. And so Rose then takes that initiative with the person and matches them up with the person on our resource group that we have. Networking, how to have your social presence more professional, that type of thing. We did a workshop on that last year. Our very first one was on the networking and resume writing. We had so much on the resume writing, we had to defer the networking part to what we just did. So, and then in January, we did another workshop where we had a great woman who is in the financial industry that works with people in their finances. And so we did a workshop on managing your finances through transition. That's a very real thing. Like Indy was saying, there's a lot of fear there. How am I going to keep, providing for myself or my family, all of that stuff. So these subjects kind of evolve on their own, but then we've got these great people here in our network that just step up and offer their time. Like she said, we're not doing this for money to get paid. We are starting to get some sponsors that have agreed to donate some funds to help buy the fantastic donuts and some of our great coffee and sandwiches and things. But that's it. We're just everybody volunteering their time and resources, which is, again, adds to that whole community feeling. And just knowing that, hey, I can pick the phone up and call Joanna, Indy, Lauren, or Rose and get to another place there and not stay stuck, but move boldly forward. Because as you probably know too, if you don't have that confidence or that mojo within yourself, it's going to come out somehow when you're interviewing with new people. As much as you try not to show that, it still comes out in subtle ways. So we're really, really proud of how we're just building our own community here. And it just keeps spreading. Casting the net keeps getting wider and larger.
All right, I'm going to throw this question out to either one of you because it's whoever thinks of something first, because I'm going to kind of put you on the spot. But
Okay.
What are some success stories that you've had so far? Indy, I thought of this question because you were talking about this at like the last Coach Jack's. I think you were talking about like something remarkable that happened, and I felt like you were talking about something that happened within the Red Lips for the ladies group. But I'll throw it to you first, but you can always default it over to Joanna if you can't think of anything.
I'll let her decide. If she wants to go first, I'm good either way.
I think right off the bat.
Okay. Well, I think we have a number of success stories, I have to tell you. And most of them have been preparing women with new skills and expanding their skills that go out and find the job. So I would say the first thing we do very successfully is that sense of community, as I mentioned. And, as Joe mentioned, you can get stuck in feeling bad for yourself. That's legitimate. That's sadness. And we honor that. And if someone needs to feel that, to process it and work it through, okay. But we try to help them see that's not going to move you forward. So feel what you got to feel, and then let's take a step. And we have found one of the best ways to do that is through education. And again, coming together for community, just being together, that simple act. So I can think of 4 or 5 people off the top of my head who have come to us and been connected with some fairly high, actually really high-end professionals who have helped coach them with resumes, interviews, you name it, everything to put the right message about their personal branding out there, and it's made a difference. I can think of one young lady that we're like, well, you really need to up your LinkedIn profile, get a better picture. What you're saying out there, everything you put out there translates into the worker that you are, and you want that to be right. And so what we have seen mostly is preparing them to kind of polish up their things, in terms of social media, elevate their skill set, and really, again, lift them with all these women that are embracing them, metaphorically, with, we got you, go do this thing and get this job. And so that's what we have seen a lot of. We've also had a couple of women who've come through and said, you know what, I've decided to become an entrepreneur. I'm just going to go do my own thing. We've seen a couple of women come through and do that. Boy, that's a bold move, isn't it? So right on, sister. We're excited about that. And Joe, I don't know who I'm leaving out, but you probably know who I'm talking about when I say
Yeah.
those.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Yeah, and
can't think
they're
of.
and they're to the point where they've actually, writing, I guess, like a little testimonial that we can
Oh yeah,
share
we've
with
got lots
people.
of those.
And the first thing that, if I remember reading the past few, is they all talk about the community, that sense of community. If it wasn't for the Red List for the ladies, and it's really not about the lipstick, but that's what got us going. But that's kind of our
Hashtag.
little tagline. But they all talk about, gosh, if it weren't for these group of ladies that I became involved in, I'm not sure where I would still be,
Yeah.
Yeah. This sounds incredible. So this has only been going on for a year. All of this that you've been talking about.
Well, I'd say yes, technically, we officially launched in August of 24, but
So
I lost.
not even a
Well,
year.
but hold on. I'm going to back up to August
Yeah.
of 23 is when
Yeah.
it really started. And I would say within a month of that, or maybe 2 months, I was encouraged by a young lady. Her name's Vivian Nix of the Baldwin Group. And she had invited me to come speak at a couple of their events. And in one event, I had mentioned something about Red Lips to her and that Joanna and I were going to do this thing. And she said, well, when you speak tomorrow night or whenever it was, tell them about Red Lips. And I did, and it was just a spur of the moment thing, but the women just completely got into it. And within a week, we were launching and we were starting that process. The actual launch party came a little bit later, so it's more like a year and a half. We're not quite at the 2-year mark, but it's more about a year and a half that we're into. Well, I guess it probably is 2 years, I guess, when you think about
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
almost.
A few months away.
But the official launch party was in August of 24.
Well, regardless of that time span, I still think it's incredible what you guys have accomplished so far. And I mean, Francine, isn't this just like another great example of the power of community?
This totally shows when people come together, what we can accomplish.
hmm
Like I said at the very beginning, when I sat here wanting to write a book, that's all it was, wanting to write a book, until I found somebody who had done it before me. Like these ladies have had successful careers and have all the resources to help other people through their transition. I found people who had done what I wanted to do, who could
hmm
guide me along the way. And it's funny how it wasn't a linear path either. It,
No, nothing is.
it was more like a zigzag and an up and down and all the way around.
Yeah.
I wrote my first self-help book, and it was very clinical. It was very academic, and quite frankly, it was boring. But then I met somebody else, and I created this kooky character behind me. And then I decided to take that character, and I took that first self-help book and I put it into a fairy tale format. So there was another zig. And then the zag was when somebody said, oh my God, children need this information too. I never, ever, ever intended to be a children's book author. I don't even have kids. But it's just this beautiful community led me in this direction. So
Right.
if you're not in a community right now, find one, whether it's the Red Lips, whether it's the Believe community or Toastmasters. My Toastmaster community is what really led me on this path. Find a community, plug yourself in. And like Heidi said, don't just be there, really be a part of the process.
Right. Plug in.
Plug in.
You're making me think, Francine, as you're talking. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Mel Robbins and her latest book, Let Them. It's a amazing book, and I highly recommend it. But she does a section in there about adult friendships, and she talks about why they're hard to form. As children, I mean, we're always around our friends. We're with them all day. We're with them most of every day. But as adults, we don't have that. And so they can be difficult to find and difficult to form. And then everybody has their own families and people move and they scatter. And so proximity can be the issue. Busy schedules can, hamper friendships. But she talks about the importance of it. And I think for me, it just that section of her book spoke to was if you need and want them, and I believe we all do, you have to make them happen. And it's the same with community as we're talking about today. I think you need it, and especially for those people who are finding it difficult time to have these friendships and close groups that they're in, you're going to have to find one, whatever that is, that works for you. But the power of community is really something, because you come in, and I think just by being together, you're giving to each other. And I firmly believe, and I actually talk about this in my book, that there's not a time in my life that I did something giving or charitable in some way that I felt bad about it. I mean, not once did I say, well, I'm never doing that again. No, I did something kind and supportive for someone, whatever that was. I felt good about it. I think it's the same when you step into a community and you lift each other up. It just kind of fuels itself, but you walk away with that sense of, I'm more full than when I went in, and wow, I can give back too. And it really is just this beautiful cycle that just fuels itself round and round, and it gets fuller and bigger and can help more people. So I absolutely believe it. I think we're divinely wired to enjoy giving and helping each other in that way.
Oh, what a great way to wrap up this conversation. So, as usual, we could talk for way longer on this, and I would love to. So that's why we have our online community, so we can take this conversation to the online space, do it at any hour or time that we just really want to take a really short retreat from all the crazy in the world and slow down for just a little bit to speed up. So in this corner over here, you see the QR code, give it a scan, join our community. We'll love to keep chatting with you over there. And I want to thank you, Red Lips for the ladies, Joanna and Indy, for being here with us today. And
Awesome.
just having the, I want to say that desire to help other people, so ingrained in your values that you would turn something that was so tragic for you and turn it into something so beautiful. And before we go, you guys have some upcoming events?
Yes, we do. Like Indy mentioned earlier, so monthly, it's the third Friday every month. We meet at Happy Brew in San Marco area for the Lattes and Lipstick coffee meet. And we send out postings on our LinkedIn page. We also have a Facebook page that you can see those postings there too. And then our next big event is our actual in August 15th will be our first annual Red Lips for the Ladies anniversary party of when we first started. So that's August 15th, and we'll be sending out notices about that very, very soon. And we have another workshop, I believe, in November coming up. That
Yep.
subject TBD, but I'm sure it's going to be a fantastic one as these others have been. So stay tuned, and more coming from Red Lips for the Ladies.
Yeah. And if you know
Awesome.
somebody who needs some help, send them our way.
Yes.
info@redlipsfortheladies.org.
We have our
we'd love
website
to
is
help
going to be
them.
launching soon too. So you'll be able
Also
to go
true.
to the website and you'll see all the events
And
listed there.
I also put your LinkedIn
Oh,
link
great.
in the chat for everybody to
thank
check
you.
that out as well. You're welcome. So thank you, ladies, so much for being here
Thank
today.
you. This was fun.
Now, next week, we have another great community leader. It's Monique Madrid, and she is the creator of the LOL Film Festival, something that the Believe Retreat is going to be participating in this year. Oh, it's going to be pretty exciting. So we're
Sounds
looking
exciting.
forward to speaking to her next week. But until then, Francine, we're missing Joanna. Are you ready for this?
Yes. Let's do this. If you can believe
it.
you can, if you can conceive it, you
Oh,
can
that's it.
believe it, and you can achieve it.
Achieve it.
From the head to the heart.
To the hands.
Yes,
Yes.
you
can.
can. Yeah.
Love it. Love it, ladies.
Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
Well, thank you again so much for being with
Thank
us here
you.
today. And looking forward to attending some of your events.
Okay.
Oh, we'll save you a chair.
Yes.
We'll save you a latte, ladies, both of you. How about that?
Oh, yes. And one of those donuts.
Get you. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll talk. We'll talk later. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Take care.
See everybody.
everybody.
Thanks for joining.